Our next person that we have here, we have Megan Schuknecht from the Biomimicry Institute. A biologist by training, Megan's love of nature, background in sustainability work, and passion for education led her to the Biomimicry Institute. As a senior biomimicry professional, she has played a lead role in developing many of the Institute's key offerings, including AskNature, the Biomimicry Global Design Challenge, and its Biomimicry Launchpad and Ray of Hope entrepreneurship programs. Megan recently co-authored the Nature of Fashion report, which looks at how fashion industry can transition to support the biosphere. Thank you so much, Megan, for joining us today, and we're looking forward to hearing what you have to say in your presentation.
Thank you. I'll share my screen here. I just have a few slides. Okay, so there's my contact information. I'll put that up at the end as well. So if you're not familiar with biomimicry, it means innovation inspired by nature, and really all of these terms do. So if you're ever, if you want to look more into the topic after this session, you can search on biomimicry, bio-inspired or bio-inspired design, biomimetics, biodesign. These all essentially mean the same thing. However, at the Biomimicry Institute and most ways that people use the term biomimicry, we're really emphasizing design solutions that benefit both people and the planet. So bio-inspired design, you might have a scientist or a researcher who designs a robot based on how the cheetah runs, right? But if it doesn't serve a function as it does in nature, then, and it doesn't serve any like larger human or planetary purpose, then we don't really think of that as biomimicry. We think of that more as bio-inspired design. And with biomimicry, we're really encouraging people to try to come up with those sustainable solutions and think about how solutions will benefit humans, but also have a positive impact on the planet and not come at the detriment to other species surviving on the planet. So just a little background on how we at the Biomimicry Institute think about biomimicry. When people hear the term biomimicry or biomimicry innovation, I think they often think of a lot of the inventors, right? So inventors come from all different stripes. If you want to go into the field of biomimicry, I really would say, pursue your passion. I'm sorry if you hear my dog barking in the background, but I'm just going to let her bark. So up there in the top corner, Diana Youssef started investigating this phenomenon in her graduate program and really looking at like what is a challenge? What is a challenge that needs to be solved in the world? And there are 1 billion people in the world who do not have access to clean sanitation. They don't have safe toilets or safe ways of disposing their waste. And yet when you realize that most of human waste is composed of water, that presented the solution. And so she looked at this idea of how can we evaporate water, move water out of materials just as many plants do, and came up with this idea of an eye throne, which can remove water from waste, and then you can more safely transport and deal with waste. This, of course, could also have implications for, any modern city, right? We have this crazy network of pipes and moving sewage all over the place. When we have flooding, we still have a lot of overflow events. So really innovative solutions that can come from nature, and just different paths that they take. So the second person there, Dr. Anthony Brennan, he was a chemist, but he really started out in the dental field. He was looking at how you could make better ceramics and adhesives for teeth. And that was really his focus for a number of years. And then in the course of his work, looking at, well, how can adhesives, right? The mouth is a wet environment. How can adhesives work? One day he was out in Hawaii and looking at the ocean and noticed that lots of organisms have barnacles and things attached to them, which is not what you want in teeth, right? You want to keep your teeth clean. And so in talking to people and observing, he realized that lots of sharks are relatively clean skin to other marine organisms. And that took him down this path of developing Sharklet, which is an adhesive that has a surface topography that looks a lot like shark scales. And you can see the picture on top there is not Sharklet, but that's actually the shark denticles, or the shark teeth is what they're called on the skin. And because of the way the surface is structured, the bacteria can't adhere. So he moved past dentistry. And if you think about it, there are all sorts of surfaces where we don't want pathogens or bacteria to adhere, right? And so this has very, very wide applications. So again, he started as a chemist working in the dental field, but now kind of has the world at his disposal. Louisa Ulrich Verderber is very young in her biomimicry career. As a college student, she started investigating energy and how we can better harvest energy, and came up with Undula Tech, which you can look at her website. That's her technology at the bottom. And then the bottom two, Bruno and Pedro Rootman, are the co-founders of a company and a technology called Nucleario, which mimics different functions in biology to try to help seedlings survive during reforestation efforts. And they're focused on the Atlantic rainforest. But they had, one of them has a background as an artist and one has a background as a designer. And what really inspired Bruno on the lower left there to look at biomimicry was actually paragliding, right? He was coasting over the Atlantic rainforest and just seeing all the deforestation, and then seeing that there were no connections between the remaining remnants of land. And he thought, well, what if we could disperse, more like seeds, disperse long distances and connect some of these remnants, and through a long path that led him to this technology. So I just wanted to share a few of those solutions to show you that if you're interested in biomimicry from an invention standpoint, you really can enter from a number of different ways. I'm not an inventor, but I help people learn about biomimicry, and I'm really an educator and a researcher. And so my own path to get here is just that I'm a nature lover who also loves to learn. So I spent a lot of time outside as a kid and just was really fascinated by nature and its processes and what nature's capable of, which is pretty amazing. So I did get a biology degree as an undergrad. I didn't really know what to do with that biology degree when I graduated. I went to a liberal arts college, so I got this really broad background. And I feel like in college, the most important thing I learned was how to learn and how to communicate. As the last speaker said, that's really important in so many disciplines. It's critically important in biomimicry because often there are people from many different disciplines working together. And so you have to learn how to communicate with those different folks. So I got a biology degree, but I didn't really see a path. I saw a path into medicine, which I didn't want to do. I saw a path into biotechnology, which I didn't want to do. And when I first thought about grad school, I thought I would have to focus on, I'd have to focus on narrowly researching a frog or narrowly researching flight patterns in birds. And I thought I would get bored. I like the breadth of learning and experience. So I also worked in public health. I worked in sustainable communities and energy. I got my master's degree in environmental studies, which I felt was, that was broader and allowed me to go a number of different directions. And then I've always been a fan of education. So I've done a lot of education throughout my career and continue to do that at the Biomimicry Institute. So I do all sorts of different things with the Biomimicry Institute, again, which I love. So I help design a lot of our programs. I work on curricula. This is some curricula we recently finished. This is available for youth in high school. And these are easy activities to get into biomimicry. Here's the Nature of Fashion report, which I can share that with you. So that was really looking at how can we help the fashion industry transition to, a regenerative model. And then I also worked on our AskNature database, which is a collection of biological strategies organized by function. So again, if you're interested in being an inventor, I really encourage you to check out asknature.org and look at all the different biological strategies we've compiled, as well as there are a number under inspired ideas there. There are lots of different inspired ideas that can show you more inventions. So I'll stop there because I'm really excited to hear some of your questions, and there's my contact information. You're welcome to reach out anytime.
Great. Thank you so much, Megan, for that great presentation. I'll invite everyone now, if they have any questions, please start typing them into the chat. We still have about 4 minutes left, so if you have a couple, make sure you type them in. I think I'll just start kicking it off here. In terms of the day-to-day tasks for your position, if there's a student at home that's really interested in what you do, could you elaborate a little bit about what you do in a typical day?
Mm-hmm. So the Biomimicry Institute is a nonprofit organization. So I think I do a lot of tasks are similar at a nonprofit organization in terms of, we've been a virtual organization for about 6 years, so pre-pandemic. So I do a lot of Zooms and meeting with my colleagues. We use a lot of different software to communicate well. We use Slack and, a shared document platform and things like that. Try to keep email to a minimum, but we do a lot of email with other colleagues around the world. And then I might spend part of my day working on curriculum, and I might spend part of my day preparing to teach an in-person workshop, which we only do a few of those a year, but I love to actually get out in the field, take people out in nature, whether teachers or professionals, and help them see nature in a new way. So part of my day might be spent preparing for that. And then I also help out with some of our fundraising. So I might spend part of my day talking to a funder about the importance of biomimicry and the potential that it holds. So I do a lot of different things in a typical day.
Great, thank you so much, Megan. We have another question here about the pathway. I know you said you ended up taking a little bit of an unconventional environmental studies, biology looping in, biomimicry still being an emerging field. What do you recommend someone majors in if they want to get into biomimicry? Is there one path or are there many?
There are many paths, and I really would say to follow your passion, because I think you can bring biomimicry into your career in any number of ways. That said, I mean, we definitely need more biologists. A lot of biologists don't necessarily want to apply what they're learning, but they just want to do that like neuro-focused research and learn everything they can. I think that's changing. I think a lot more scientists are wanting to start applying their work, but we really need more biologists who are interested in also like solving human challenges, I would say, because they hold so much knowledge. Engineers and designers and business people all play roles in biomimicry. So even if you develop an invention, it's a whole other step to commercialize it, right? So I would say really, if you're interested in biomimicry, just follow your first passion first, right? And whatever really interests you, and then you can bring the biomimicry in or apply the biomimicry in lots of different ways. But I would say some key skills, by bringing biologists, engineers, designers, and business people together. And there's a lot of variation in all of those, but the main thing I would say is that if you're interested in biomimicry, go spend time in nature and learn something about biology, but you don't necessarily have to pursue a biology degree to play a role in biomimicry.
Great, thank you so much, Megan. It looks like we have just about a minute left and one question, so hopefully we can get this one and do really quick. For a lot of students going into this field where things are really new and exciting, but a lot of things to learn, what are some of the things that you think students struggle with, and how do you recommend them overcome it in the biomimicry field?
Oh, that's a really good question. Um, I think I think I would just recommend talking to a lot of different people. So don't struggle alone and try to figure it out. Sessions like this are great. I find that people are really excited to talk about the work and how they got there and the skills that you need and help you get through those challenges. So that's one thing I would recommend is, or if you're struggling with sort of which direction to take, go out and talk to as many people as possible. Or internships, as we just discussed, are another way to get some experience. We don't have a lot of internships at the Biomimicry Institute, but we do have an opportunity for people to do some strategy writing on AskNature.org. And that does help if you're interested in science or have a bit of a science background. I'm not sure I fully answered your question, but you can follow up with me if I didn't, please.
Great, thank you so much, Megan. We really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us today. I think we're ready for
Thank
our
you,
next
Victoria.
presenter. Thank you.